Hi, good afternoon. My name is Joe DePinto. I'm the head of Cell, Gene, and Advanced Therapies at McKesson, and I lead the Cell and Gene dedicated vertical at McKesson we call InspiroGene. We are a publicly traded company at McKesson, and I'm going to share with you some of the highlights from the year past and talk about our plans for the future, so I'd ask you to take a look at our cautionary statements on our website. This week at ARM, we've heard a lot of really unbelievably powerful stories on patients. And in InspiroGene, patients are core to our focus as well. We take a bit of a different approach from a patient perspective, though. At InspiroGene, powered by McKesson, we focus on how the patient navigates the value chain and how our solutions and services help them navigate the complexities of that value chain so they can get access to some significant scientific breakthroughs, like cell and gene therapies that we are all discussing here, not only in late-stage pipelines, but commercially available, really core to the patient being able to gain access to these products. When we think about the offerings at InspiroGene powered by McKesson, we like to think of our offering from end to end in the value chain. And there's no one ideal value chain because cell therapies are different than gene therapies. The dedicated team at InspiroGene focuses on working with our biopharma clients and providers on how best to allow products to go through the value chain and for patients to take advantage of that. Everything from the fact that we have a depth of and breadth of assets that include distribution and logistics, as well as patient access assets, that services and solutions that manufacturers, providers, and payers can all utilize. Let's dig in a little bit to those resources. So from a patient identification onboarding, we're really fortunate at InspiroGene to have a partnership through McKesson with the Sarah Cannon Research Institute. We also have wholly owned subsidiaries of U.S. Oncology and Florida Cancer Specialists, and one of the prevalent themes this week has been a lot about how do we galvanize the community. How do we make sure those patients commercially that sit in the community are able to get access to these groundbreaking therapies? From a patient access and services standpoint, this year we launched a cell and gene therapy specific patient hub. We'll talk a little bit about that further in this presentation, but that's a new offering that we built based on barriers that we saw for patient access. On the distribution and logistics side, we're fortunate enough to have multiple assets to deploy for our manufacturer and biopharma clients as well as our providers, the healthcare providers who give these drugs. They include our McKesson Plasma and Biologics Group, that is our specialty distribution group, as well as our Biologics Specialty Pharmacy that allows for patients to get access through that market access component. We also have a third-party logistics organization called McKesson's Third Party Logistics, and recently, at that third-party logistics facility, we built a cold chain storage and warehousing facility focused for cell and gene therapies. We'll talk a little bit further about that in our presentation. So as you think of the offerings that InspiroGene has in the marketplace, you can use individual or modular type offerings, whether it's an individual one component, or you can look at using an integrated value of multiple components so that there's one source for the particular biopharma company to work with to navigate multiple components of the value chain. Early on, we've seen good receptivity to that because it's one component that a biotech or a pharma company has to deal with. That is one source that they go to help their patients navigate the value chain. As we think about what we've achieved in the last 12 months, we're really excited about the team. Our team is dedicated to cell and gene therapy. Our team all have cell and gene therapy experience, and they focus every day on how to help patients and how to help biopharma navigate the complexities of the value chain. In the last 12 months, we launched InspiroCare, which is our built-for-purpose cell and gene therapy hub. This hub helps patients and their caregivers really be able to understand the benefit verification process, as well as the reimbursement process, how they manage travel and logistics, as well as how they handle some of the outcomes that are associated with the delivery of cell and gene therapy, and how they continue to progress getting these groundbreaking therapies. We're really pleased to offer this sort of case management approach to a hub program versus a high throughput, high volume hub that really isn't built for the cell and gene space. Several weeks ago, we had the privilege of cutting the ribbon on a brand new facility just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. This is our cold chain storage and warehousing facility. We continue to see a need in the market for product to be able to be stored and delivered to the sites of care. We developed this facility in a 1 million square foot facility that has a 3PL and a specialty distribution component to it. Our facility is 12,000 square feet. It has everything from ambient storage to frozen to ultra-frozen to cryogenic storage. We also have the ability to do kitting and repackaging there. And since we already had a 3PL and a specialty distribution component in that building, we also added a specialty pharmacy. That allows our manufacturer biopharma companies to have optionality in their market access choice. They can choose any component all under one roof. These products should not need to travel. These products should be in a position where they can be delivered efficiently, effectively to the sites of care so that patients can get them on time in the right format. Having everything under one roof has been a significant benefit for our biopharma manufacturers. Another pain point we saw in the marketplace, and we heard it loud and clear from the healthcare providers that we work with on a regular basis, is the fact that they have trouble at times navigating the ordering process for commercial cell and gene therapy. There's so many different ways and portals to order. They're used to ordering from a company like McKesson, and they wanted a consistent, clear way to order. So our order application was designed for cell and gene therapy. It coordinates with our existing systems. It's very clean, easy, and familiar to the many sites that deliver cell and gene therapy in the United States. So that's another deployment of capital that we use this year to help alleviate some of the barriers for patients to get access to cell and gene therapy, and alleviate some of the barriers, quite frankly, for our providers, because we want to make sure that they are unencumbered in their ability to give these products. Last year, we came here and we launched the inaugural 2024 McKesson Cell and Gene Therapy Report, and it was seen as a nice piece to help the cell and gene ecosystem understand some of the challenges in the market. We did another report this year that was released in January, and that report has some similarities to last year and some improvements. We continue to interview, and we continue to take a look at hematologists and oncologists, both community and academic, because they are most familiar with cell and gene therapy. We also looked at sites of care across the United States, and how has the progress been seen in sites of care that are delivering cell and gene therapy. We also have thought leaders throughout the United States that have given their opinion pieces on how to overcome barriers to delivery of cell and gene therapy, both from academic centers like the University of Chicago and Sarah Cannon Research Institute, and community hospitals like Tampa General, and commercial leaders that have experience in delivering cell and gene therapy. So let me give you some of the highlights of this report, but the full report can be found on our website. The CGT pipelines continue to evolve, especially late stage. Late stage for us is phase 2 and phase 3, and this comes from the global data, the ARM data set. And what we see is an increase in late stage clinical trials in hematology, oncology, and a significant increase when you poll all of the autoimmune disease, very consistent with what we've seen here during our time at ARM. And it also talks to the importance of making sure we understand the challenges and how to overcome those challenges in the value chain, because autoimmune disease is very large populations, especially if you look at lupus, MS, some smaller, like myasthenia gravis and stiff person syndrome, but still important that we understand where the research is going. When we polled the providers, the healthcare professionals, what we saw is an increase in familiarity year over year with cell and gene therapy. We also saw an increase by physician yearly of how many cell and gene therapy patients they treated. We also saw an increase of clinicians who said that they are now treaters versus referrers for cell and gene therapy. A couple of areas of pause. 2/3 of oncologists still view CGT as largely unproven, and 66% of the oncologists say their patients view CGT as experimental or risky. When we expanded to some analysis with payers, payers felt like very innovative product, very safe product, clearly product that is effective, cell and gene therapies. But products that don't align well with the delivery of care and the reimbursement in the United States. That could be due to a variety of things. Cost density, the fact that you give a product one time traditionally and the outcome is seen over time, and durability of response were two topics the payers brought up. We did an analysis at InspiroGene of commercially available products, and we looked at products that have publicly reported 5-year follow-up. 33% of the products that are launched in the market have 5-year follow-up. If you look at 3 to 5-year follow-up, close to 50% of the patients have long-term follow-up. It's really important that we continue to make sure that long-term follow-up data gets out in the market, that it's clear, and we continue to look at real-world evidence, because that's going to solidify the position with the payers, the providers, the payers, as well as the physicians, and clearly the patients can't see this as experimental. They need to see this as proven technology, but still very much a nascent market. When we look at the treatment map, this year we ran the same analysis as we ran last year, and it was a little disappointing to see the lack of more clinical sites giving cell and gene therapy. It was pretty much a flat analysis. And when we dug into the geographic metropolitan areas, and again, a reminder, each of these dots is not a treatment center, it's a geographic metropolitan area. What you clearly see in this map is that there are treatment deserts for cell and gene therapy where they're not available for an extended mileage. And that's a problem because patients don't want to travel with their caregivers for an extended period of time and for a long distance. But what we found here is that the migration to the community hasn't gone as quickly as we expected for a variety of reasons. We continue to update this map on our website every quarter to see progress. And hopefully, as we move forward, we'll be able to see more and more of progress being made here. One interesting statistic that I recently saw from our colleagues at Avalier, they did an analysis of multiple myeloma patients. Now, multiple myeloma has multiple players in cell and gene therapy. 18% of multiple myeloma patients do not have a cell and gene therapy treatment center. Only 18% of multiple myeloma patients have a certified treatment center to give a CAR-T in the zip code in which they live. That's the exact statistic from Avalier. So that's an important point that we must really look at, and talks to the importance of really looking at migration of cell and gene therapy more to the community. It's slow, and hopefully the incremental progress will transition to more significant progress next year. When we think about success here, the success really is driven by collaboration in the market. Our biopharma companies, the providers who give these products, as well as the payers, all working together to help patients get greater commercial access to these products. The science is significant, and it's compelling, but it hasn't transitioned to commercial volumes. And at InspiroGene, we deploy our team, our assets, in helping biopharma companies, providers, and payers deal with the complexities, the uncertainties, and help patients get access to more of these groundbreaking therapies. So thanks for your time today. You can find our report and more information on our website. Thank you.